All right. Excuse me. Hello, everybody. So this is part 2 of the Lightfast test that I started back in end of January. And I meant to do this 3 months from that date, but I've been dealing with some sickness, some health issues, and I had a surgery in the middle of April. And so my life just kind of went sideways for a little bit. But I'm feeling much better. I've been painting a lot, and I wanted to finish up this video series. So this is part 2 of the Lightfast test. And if you watch part 1, you remember that I'm testing basically 6 brands of oil pastels. So we have Senneliers, Rubens, Neo Pastels, Mundio Galleries, Van Goghs, and Crépaz. And this side, and then the same colors are repeated, same brands are repeated over here. So there's 2 columns here. And this first column is there's no fixative applied on this side, but there is a fixative applied on this side. And the fixative I used was this Krylon matte finish fixative, which I've used before many times. All right, so this side sprayed a fixative, this side wasn't. And then what I did is I placed this card here against my window here. It's been there for the last 4.5 months, getting lots of sunlight and mostly cloudy days here. And so I wanted to test these out and see how they held up for the last 4.5 months. So over here I have brand new swabs of all the colors and brands. And in here I actually kept the actual sticks I use. I've kept in this box and haven't been using them. So these have just been sitting in this box for the last 4.5 months, not being used, not being exposed to light. They've been sitting in this box. So let's get started. Let's grab the Sens first. So this is right here. These are brand new swabs. And let's compare it to, let me lower this down a little bit so it's in view of the camera. Okay, so this is the Senneliers, I think is how you pronounce that correctly. All right, so we have number 39, number 43, and number 90. And this is the no fix side. I'm just going to put it right up here and see if we can see if there's any difference in change of color from sitting out for 4.5 months to brand new. Try to get some up close shots of this so you can actually see if you see any change. To me, it's pretty much identical. I can't really tell. Maybe number 39 slightly darker there. Here, this one seems to be maybe a shade lighter here, but honestly pretty much held up pretty well. Again, sitting out for 4.5 months with a no fix side. Let's go to the yes fixative side and put that up there and see if we see any difference. And honestly, I just can't tell. It looks pretty much the same to me. Okay, so looks pretty good. Looks like the Sens pretty much held up pretty well. They're pretty strong pigmented. Lots of color in it to each stick, so, and they're very expensive. So it seems like it doesn't really matter whether there's a no fix side or yes fix side on the Sens. Looks like they held up pretty strong either way. All right, okay, so there's the Sens. Let's test the Paul Rubens. These are the Paul Rubens. So this is the brand new swabs of this. Let's go ahead and place that next to the 4.5 months with no fixative. Pretty much looks the same. Maybe this coral has changed slightly. Maybe it's shade lighter here. Possibly the same on the magenta. But pretty much the phthalo blue pretty much stay the same. Let's go to the yes fixative side. Take a look at that. Pretty much held up. Maybe the coral slightly deeper color here. I'm noticing on the edge of this swab here we have some disintegration of the color here, and this is the fixative side. Okay, you can see I can rub my finger off on that and I'm not getting any color off because it's protected by the fixative. And that was, again, this matte finish krylon. But it seems to me that maybe on the edges there, looks like the color is really starting to fade away on that, which is kind of surprising to me. I figured the fixative would actually give it a little bit more protection from light, but maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's accelerated that. Okay, that's the Paul Rubens. So there's that. So let's see, we're going to go to the Oil Pastels next. Oil Pastels. I use this brand quite a bit, especially in plein air work. Okay, so we got chestnut. Looks pretty much the same. Can't really tell, can you? Here's the orangish yellow is what they call this color, and I had 2 swabs here. This one here just has a little bit of green into it, so I just made a new one here right to the left of that, and you can see pretty much the same. And the opaline green, not much change there. Okay, now let's go to the fixative side. Take a look at this. Chestnut, orangish yellow. What really pops out to me is this opaline green. This really disintegrated quite a lot here, which is really surprising to me. This is something that I didn't think would happen. But it seems to me with the fixative added to it, it really faded the color out even more. Quite a bit. If I can get a close-up look at that, you can take a look at that. Look at the edges there. See right here. This was a full swab here of color, and you can see how much is really faded here and what the fixative actually did to the oil pastel when exposed to light. Quite alarming, actually. Starting to make me reconsider using a final fixative on my work. You can even see the edges here on the chestnut here, where it's starting to disintegrate the color along the edges. Okay, so that is a surprise right there. I would think that the fixative side would offer more protection from light. But that is not the case. It's actually causing the color to degrade even faster or a lot more. Right, so there's Oil Pastels. Really a big change here on the fixative side. Next we're going to go to Mungio Gallery. I tested 2 colors here. I don't have a lot of Mungios left over because it's hard for me to get them. But I tested burnt orange and Prussian blue. So look at the burnt orange. I can't tell if there's any difference. It looks relatively the same to me. Again, this has been sitting out for 4.5 months. Okay, let's go to the fixative side, see if we can see any change. Maybe it looks a little bit lighter here, but definitely, again, the color is disintegrating around the edges with the fixative applied. You can see quite a bit of fading here on the edges. Here, if I can get a little closer, you can probably see that. Okay. Really surprising that wouldn't be the case. Okay, so there's the Mungio Gallery. I'm going to go ahead and raise this up a little bit as we go down. Next, we got the Van Goghs. So the Van Goghs I started using about a year or so ago, maybe a couple years ago. I can get open stock Van Goghs locally, so that's why I've been using them. So here's Scarlet, Prussian Blue, and Scarlet, and there's different kinds of Scarlet. There's Scarlet 334.5 and Scarlet 334.9. So difference there. But look at the different colors here. Maybe a little bit of fading on this Scarlet. I think this seems to be a little deeper here. A little bit of fading there. Prussian Blue, maybe slightly different. The Scarlet, though, pretty much the same, maybe a little bit lighter there on this one. So a little bit of a change, a little bit of a lighter shade here. And then let's go to the fixative side. A little bit of fading here on this Prussian Blue. Again, there's a fixative there. And maybe on this Scarlet here. a little bit of fading. I don't see the disintegration of color around the edges like I do up here with the Oil Pastels. All right, so that really is shocking to me to see that on that. Okay, there's the Van Goghs. And then finally we have the Krylon Expressionist. And this is that, let me raise this up a bit. Krylon Expressionist. I have lots of these sticks. I use them for like that first layer. Here we have the orange. I can kind of see a difference in shade here between this and the green, and maybe even the Prussian blue. They don't seem to hold up as well. Here I had to make 2 swabs here, but there you can see they're pretty much both the same, and compared to the one that's been sitting out for 4.5 months, a little bit of a change here. I can see more of a change in the orange and the green. All right, and let's go to the fixative side. Okay, quite a bit of change here on the Prussian blue. Color's really disintegrating here, really fading to fade out. Same with the green, a little bit of disintegration and fading out, and even in the orange. So maybe the Krylon doesn't hold up as well as the Senneliers up there do. Okay, so there's the Krylon. All right, so there you have it, folks. I guess what really is shocking to me is what this fixative has done to the overall condition of the color after it's been exposed to an outdoor light for 4.5 months. I didn't even think that would be possible. I thought the fixative would actually protect the color, but looks like it hasn't. Looks like it's actually caused more of a fading than I ever thought would be possible. But you can see here what that's really done to the Oil Pastels. And Oil Pastels is a very expensive brand, almost as expensive as the Senneliers are. I think the Senneliers held up the best, whether it's no fixative applied or yes, a fixative applied. Seems like the color is pretty much uniform and just as bright as a brand new swab. And so that's reassuring. I mean, they are expensive. They are strongly pigmented. I would hope that they would hold up well, and it seems that they did. Again, a little bit of disintegration of the color on the fixative side. You can see that these brands, Mungio Gallery, the Oil Pastels, the Rubens, and even the Krylon here didn't hold up well with the fixative side. Okay, so that's really surprising to me. I would figure that this would actually protect it more, but I am wrong. So makes me now reconsider even using this product for Oil Pastels. Maybe I'll stop using it and just kind of stick with the Sennelier pastel, or maybe even a varnish that's meant for oil painting. So there we have it, guys, and sorry this is late, but I wanted to finish part 2 of this video series, and I'm going to do another Lightfast test. I think we're going to do, now that I've learned something about fixative and especially this krylon, which I thought was good, I'm going to do another test again, but we're going to try different fixatives. We're going to test the Sennelier fixative. This is a very expensive can. This is almost $25 for this just one can, whereas the krylon is usually around $12 to $15. So this is quite a bit more expensive. So I think I'm going to do another test, and I'll start that hopefully soon, where we're going to do the same. We'll pick some different colors, but I'm going to use the same brands here, and we'll test the fixative, this one, and then maybe we'll test this Kmar varnish by Krylon. All right, and we'll do a test with the colors exposed to outdoor light, and then the colors exposed to indoor studio lighting, and then new swabs, and then with fixatives on all of them. So it'll be a more extensive test, and then we'll test it again let that sit out for about another 4.5 months, and then see what that looks like. But anyways, I wanted to finish up this part 2, and I hope you learned something. I certainly did. If you have any questions or concerns about how I'm doing the test here, please leave a comment. I would appreciate that. And thanks, you guys, for following along. And I hope this was helpful for you. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.